What's the story, Morning Glory? What is the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, Season 3, Episode 8. So it starts off with Lisa. I'm not exactly sure what she was doing. I think she was talking with her family. Yeah, she was at home talking to her husband and her sons, I think. And she was having a conversation about, reconnecting with God, etc. So as Heather and Whitney are moving further and further away from organized religion, it seems like Lisa is trying to get closer. I don't know. I hear that. I think Lisa is still a Mormon, but she's talking about how she needs to reconnect with the Lord and reestablish her relationship with God. Moving on from there. So we find out that Whitney and Lisa, they both made the choir. I think they were both kind of surprised about it because they're both have issues right now with Heather, but they both made the choir. And I think there was a discussion about how Heather is pretending to forget certain incidents. For example, Whitney was talking about, she couldn't believe that Heather still included her in the choir because it had just had this huge fight where Heather was literally throwing Whitney out of her home. And so when she made the choir, when Heather called Whitney to let her know that she made the choir, Whitney was like, "Oh, that's kind of strange because you just kicked me out of your house." And Heather acted like she completely forgot about that huge blowout fight that they had at her home. And so Whitney and Lisa also talk about Heather's strange behavior, how she has been very tight with Angie H against everybody's advice, how her loyalty to the rest of the girls is not as strong because she's not defending them against Angie H. She's defending Angie H against them. So they talk about that, how Heather is just, her behavior is very questionable. Then we see a scene with Coach Shaw, and he has a barbecue at his home. He's hosting a barbecue, and he invites all of the husbands over. I absolutely adore Coach Shaw. I like him a lot. I think he's just a very dignified man, and it's really sad that he's married to such a problematic woman. I think Coach Shaw he's like the calm in all of this chaos. He really is. Because you have Jen, who is so like a lot. She's like a freaking tornado. And then you have the calmness and the soothingness of Coach Shaw. I guess, opposites attract. And so she needs a man like that in her life, I guess, to keep her grounded. He's extremely intelligent man, very even tempered. He thinks things through. You can tell this man really thinks before he speaks. He doesn't talk just to hear himself talk. He doesn't talk because he thinks other people want to hear him talk. He talks because he's got something to say and that we all need to hear. So I absolutely adore Coach Shaw. So it's a little bit awkward in the beginning of the barbecue because Seth and John, their wives are beefing right now. And so they're also kind of awkward, especially because the things that are being said by each of their wives is about each other's marriage. So they're kind of awkward around one another. And, they do get an opportunity to talk one on one. And so they both go outside, and neither one of them was going to back down, and neither one of them was going to apologize for their wife's behavior. So they're basically like, and they were saying the same thing because Lisa has attacked the marriage of Meredith and Seth. Meredith has attacked the marriage of Lisa and John. So neither of the husbands were going to apologize. Both of them were like, well, your wife has said some horrible things to my wife. Well, your wife has said some horrible things to my wife. And so I don't think they really got anywhere. They didn't really progress. To me, it seems like Seth would be willing to make amends with John, and John just seems like, I don't think he would. I think John has kind of like resolved himself to, he's okay with keeping a distance from Seth and Meredith. And I think the reason why, I really think it's because maybe John is afraid that there might have been some truth in the rumors about Lisa. I don't know. I don't know any other reason why he would be affected by anything that Meredith would say, or anybody else for that matter, if he had confidence in his own marriage. So when they all get back inside and sit around the table again, Seth asks Coach Shaw, how is he holding up with all the stuff that's going on with Jen? And he says that at times he does feel helpless. He says that he wants to fix it, but he doesn't know how. And they ask him, well, how do you even get through something like this? How do you keep your head above water? And he says, by all of this. And he refers to the company of his friends. He says, this is what helps me get through it, being surrounded by people who are there to support him. Moving on from there, we have Meredith. Her sister Myra and her niece and nephew have come to visit. So we see them in the kitchen. They're preparing dinner. I'm assuming they're preparing a meal. And please tell me why it takes 3 people to cut 1 lemon. It was literally 3 people cutting 1 lemon. 2 people were holding either ends of the lemon, and 1 person was cutting it in the middle. What? Okay. So Meredith tells us that her nephew had gone through some very serious mental health issues. This was alluded to at the reunion. Very serious mental health issues. Her nephew suffers from addiction as well. And she tells us that last winter he had drunk an entire bottle of bleach. I'm assuming to end it all. The sister is planning an event to promote mental health awareness or mental health wellness. And she tells Meredith that I want this event to be nothing but positivity, so basically keep your ratchety friends as far away from my event as possible if they cannot behave themselves. They talk about Lisa, and the sister says that Lisa may not be, such a good friend to Meredith, and Meredith needs to tread lightly around Lisa. Then we are at the choir rehearsals where everything goes completely left. So at the choir rehearsals, first of all, before we get to the choir rehearsals, we see Jen and Angie K driving together to the rehearsals. And Angie K tells Jen that Dana was talking about Jen behind her back when Angie K and Dana and I think Meredith had gone, what do they call it? Not cycling. Is it cycling? When you ride the stationary bikes in the class? Spin. When they went to spin class together. I think it was a spin class. She tells Jen that Dana had referred to her as a bully because of how she was talking to Angie H. She was talking to Angie H extremely aggressively at the rehearsals. And so at the auditions. And so, yeah, they were talking about that. So Jen is pissed at Dana. Heather is super happy to see Whitney when Whitney shows up for the rehearsal. She gives her a really, really big hug. Everyone is there except for Dana, to Jen's relief. Now, while the choir begins to practice, Heather and Lisa are having a conversation, and it's going not good. They're going back and forth. They're talking about, the whole situation when Lisa had texted Heather about her father, and it was poor timing. It was in bad taste, and how Lisa felt like she had to defend herself, to let everybody know that it was not poor timing. It was not in bad taste because I texted her that when her father was still alive. In fact, here's proof of that. And she posts the obituary of the poor man to show exactly when he died. And then she posts the text messages to show the dates to let everybody know these were sent way before the man died, or not way before. Sorry, I take that back because that's Heather's thing. It's like, even if you didn't send me that tasteless text after my father died, asking me, if my father was feeling better or whatever she said, it was damn near close as death. So whatever the situation was, we talked about this ad nauseum. Lisa was just wrong. Whether it was right before the man died or right after he died, the text itself was just in poor taste because the man was dying. And she sent a text about, is your father feeling better? Like I said, he's not getting over a cold or the flu. The man is dying. He's in his last days. So they're still talking about that. Lisa is like, you lied about me. You lied about me. And I just had to clear my name. And this is about a text message. It's not like she accused you of committing, the crime of the century. She just misunderstanding, miscommunication about one text. But Lisa's like, I just had to clear my name. And so Heather's like, whatever. I'm over it. So, Lisa then asks Heather, I just want to know one thing. Do you actually like me? Heather doesn't respond. It seemed like for 45 minutes, okay, the way they dragged that scene. She didn't respond and she never really gave a clear answer, but she said something to the effect of, I want us to be friends. I want us to move forward as friends and I want us to create a safe space for one another, blah, 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 blah. And then Lisa accuses Heather of lying. She came out and said, that she was a liar. And I think she was referring to the text messaging thing. Because Lisa had said something like, well, this space, if it's not safe, it's because you made it that way. And it's because you lied. You lied about me. I think she was referring to the text. And so, or she could have been referring to the cheating rumors that were brought up by Whitney and Meredith. And so, Lisa said that the cheating rumors had really affected her, and Heather says that she had nothing to do with any of that. And so then Lisa calls Whitney over, and I forgot why they even called Whitney over, but Lisa calls Whitney over into the conversation. I don't know if it was for Whitney to once again talk about how Heather knew about the things that Angie H had said about Lisa and doing whatever she was doing to get jazz tickets. I don't know if that's why she called Whitney over, but Whitney came into the conversation and Whitney was like, you knew about it, Heather. You were there when Angie H told us that. You were there. You knew about it. And Heather, and I'm watching this scene with these women, arguing about the things that Angie H had said. Whitney claims that for sure Angie H said these things about Lisa. For sure Heather heard these things. This whole conversation is centered around something that came out of Angie H's mouth. But Angie H is not even involved in this debacle. She's out there, do re mi fa so, with the rest of the choir group, not knowing what the hell is going on, completely separate and apart from this argument that's taking place that's completely centered around things that she had said. But she's, coming out squeaky clean. So Heather's over it when Whitney tells her that you were just upset that I was defending Lisa. That's why you were mad. Heather was like, you know what? I'm out of here. So she walks away. Angie H and Jen have a conversation. So Angie H apologizes to Jen about the fake Twitter account. And she apologizes, I guess, on her husband's behalf. Okay. And so Jen says that, well, if Chris is just as sorry, then he needs to make a public apology, just like he publicly humiliated me with that fake account. So me and Coach are going to be waiting for him in his public apology. And Angie H made it seem like it's going to happen. Moving on. So Meredith, Dana comes over. Meredith calls herself developing new friendships with Dana because her old friendships are, withering away. I guess she's referring to her and Lisa. So she's trying to create new friendships, and she doesn't have Mary there anymore, and she doesn't have Janie there anymore. So she's just trying to do whatever she can with whoever they sent her. So she's trying to develop this friendship with Dana. Jen and Angie K. So while Meredith and Dana are at Meredith's house, Jen and Angie K, they are at a pool and they're talking about getting a trip together for all the girls. And so Jen says that she wants to go on a real vacation. She doesn't want to go out in the middle of the desert with a shaman or with whatever you call these people, soul healers, therapists, whoever these people are that keep on popping up whenever these women go away on a trip to try to help them with their issues and try to take them back to their childhood with all of their their bowls that make sounds and whatever else, and their drums. Jen is like, I don't want none of that. I want to have a real vacation where we all get dressed up, looking cute. We go to cute restaurants to have cute dinners. We sit by the cute pool and we take cute pictures. That's the kind of vacation I want. I don't want a vacation where we're drowning ourselves in misery, drinking bitter cocoa, laying on our backs in the desert. No, I don't want that. I want a real vacation. So, but she can't leave the country though. So Meredith is talking to Dana. Oh, so Jen calls Meredith and she invites Meredith to this trip that she's going to be planning. And Meredith says, well, I also have Dana here. So Jen says, when she sees Dana, the look on her face completely changes, right? She has this like pure look of like wrath on her face when she sees Dana. And so she says, I would invite Dana to my trip, but I heard you were talking crap about me, Dana. And Dana says, well, I don't like how you talk to people, Jen. And that's where that episode ended. So it was basically like a really nothing episode. It's just something to hold us over until the next one, because when they showed us the preview of the next episode, or the upcoming, because they were showing us what was coming up for the rest of the season. So I don't know exactly which episode this is going to occur in, but at some point Heather gets a nasty, nasty black eye, and I'm not going to believe for a second that she got into a fight. I think Heather ran into something or had an allergic reaction to some makeup or something. I refuse to believe that Heather Gay got a black eye because she was in a fight. These women just don't seem like it would ever get that far with them. Maybe with Jen it might. I don't know, but that's where that episode ended. That was a nothing episode. This is a nothing review. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. On your way out, if you like this content, please go ahead and subscribe, and don't forget to rate the video, and I will definitely talk to you later. Bye.